Good morning, and thank you for tuning in. My name's Khalisa Bolling, and I'm a consultant to the SANDAG iCommute Employer Program. While we're waiting on everyone to get logged in, we're going to start with a poll. Let's see if we can get the poll up here. Okay, so will this be your first time participating in Clean Air Day? We'll give everybody a moment to answer. So if you're just now logging on, we're doing a poll here. If you can join us with answering, will this be your first time participating in Clean Air Day? Let's see if we can pull up some results now. Okay, so looks like we have, majority of people have participated before, so that's great, but looks like we do have some new people with us as well. So welcome, we're glad to have everyone here with us this morning. So again, good morning. My name's Khalisa Bolling, and I'm a consultant to the SANDAG iCommute program. And I want to thank you for joining us for the webinar this morning. Go ahead and get the next slide up. Okay. Oops. Oh, there we go. Okay. So just a couple housekeeping, actually we could go back, well, that's fine. Okay, just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. Just want to let you know there's a box on the right-hand side of your screen for questions. So please feel free to type any questions as we go through the presentation. To save time, we will answer those at the very end, but we encourage you to answer those as they come up for you. We'll also be recording this webinar in case you would like to watch it again or want to share it with anybody at your organization, any colleagues or friends, and we'll be emailing you a copy to all those that signed up tomorrow. So here's what we have on the agenda for today's webinar. I'll start out with a brief overview of SANDAG and the iCommute program. My colleague Deborah Jones with SANDAG will give a brief update on the 2021 SANDAG regional plan. Next, I'll give information and updates on Clean Air Day and go over the toolkit resources that you can share with other employees. Then Brian Sheridan from the Coalition for Clean Air will share how you can join millions of Americans in participating in Clean Air Day to do your part to make a difference. Finally, we'll share some ways to participate in this year's Rideshare Week campaign. And again, at the end, we'll save time for questions and answers. So be sure to type those into the box. Okay, let's get started. I think we could go back one slide. There we are. Okay. So SANDAG is the San Diego Association of Governments, and this is the region's long-term planning agency. It's made up of representatives from all 18 cities and the county, and SANDAG is responsible for creating the long-term vision for the San Diego region. They help answer questions like, what do we want the region to look like in the future? Where will we live? How will we get around? And how can we grow in a way that fuels the economy, that preserves our environment, and takes everyone's needs into account while still maintaining our quality of life? So iCommute is the transportation demand management program at SANDAG, and iCommute encourages the use of transportation alternatives to help reduce traffic congestion and greenhouse gas emissions. So the iCommute team works with commuters with transit solutions, a subsidized vanpool program, information about teleworking, regional support for biking, and the guaranteed ride home program, among others. And iCommute works with employers to develop and enhance commuter benefit programs that lower costs, increase productivity, and help the environment. Additionally, iCommute also hosts the regional bike map, which many of you may have seen. It's located both online and there's also printed versions available. And iCommute also administers a bike locker program, and there's more than 60 locations countywide. I think next slide, please. And now I'd like to introduce Deborah Jones, who's the Associate Account Executive with the SANDAG iCommute Employer Program. And as I said, Deborah's here to tell us a little bit about the SANDAG 2021 Regional Plan.
Thank you, Khalisa. Here at SANDAG, next slide, please. All right. Here at SANDAG, the agency prepares and updates its regional plan every 4 years in collaboration with the 18 cities and the County of San Diego in the region, and along with its state and federal partners. In doing so, we address this stark statistic. 41% of the region's greenhouse gas emissions come from passenger cars and trucks. The development of the 2021 regional plan is governed by several federal and state laws and regulations. Meeting these requirements is necessary to maintain compliance and protect our region's eligibility for vital funding sources. So there's SB 375 and air quality, and that meets our regional greenhouse gas emission reduction targets and Clean Air Act requirements. So that's what the plan does. Then there's CEQA and SB 743 to shift vehicle miles traveled as a measure to evaluate the impacts of transportation projects. So we're bound by that too. And then the plan also ensures compliance with Title VI, the federal civil rights requirements and environmental justice considerations. Next. The draft 2021 regional plan vision and goals are simply a region with transformative initiatives and progressive strategies with more travel choices. It's, can you just click through this, please? It's fast, fair, and clean. It includes expanded access, reduced congestion, and enhanced quality of life for everyone. The goals are here: efficient movement of people and goods, access to affordable, reliable, and safe mobility options for everyone. And here, most relevant to today's webinar, is healthier air and reduced greenhouse gas emissions region-wide. Next. So this vision is fundamentally shaped by 5 key strategies for mobility, collectively known as the 5 big moves. The 5 big moves are interreliant strategies that work as one and hence each other. And just click through these, please, Magda. So we have NextOS, or OS stands for operating system. It's about enabling technology. Can you go back, please? Magda, can you go back, please? Sorry, everybody. There we go. So the NextOS is about a technology enabled. NextOS makes transportation systems smarter, allowing it to adapt and respond to changing conditions throughout the day. Then we have complete corridors. And complete corridors is about connecting transportation modes along roadways and rail lines for efficiency and connectivity. And this includes managed lanes and electric vehicles, among other transportation strategies. And then in the draft regional plan, the concept of a complete network of fast, high capacity, high frequency transit services that connect major residential areas with employment centers and attractions throughout the San Diego region. That's what we call Transit Leap. Then we have mobility hubs. Mobility hubs are connection points in the transportation network. They span 1, 2, or maybe a few miles from each other to provide on-demand travel choices for short trips within the community. And then lastly, we have flexible fleets. And flexible fleets is a strategy in the draft plan that can build upon the popularity and success of shared and on-demand services such as ride sharing, ride hailing, scooter sharing, any app-enabled delivery or service. That's what we call flexible fleets. So that is the 5 big moves. Next. So our data modeling shows that when all these strategies are implemented, we achieve a 20% reduction per capita in carbon dioxide emissions compared to 2005. So this is what we're aiming for, and this is what's spelled out in the draft plan. There's more information about it on our website, sdforward.com. And then we're right now in the stage where we are collecting public comments on the draft environmental impact report, the EIR. And those comments are being collected through October 11th. So we invite you to access the plan, read through it, provide your comments and your feedbacks, and we will get back to you on that. So really important time for San Diego and for SANDAG, and we appreciate your feedback. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Khalisa, and she's going to tell you about iCommute's Clean Air Day campaign.
All right, well, thank you, Deborah. It's really great to learn about the regional plan and all the exciting strategies that are happening and outlined in that plan to help us with the clean air. So we will be celebrating Clean Air Day on October 6th. And so whether you work on site, whether you have a hybrid schedule, whether you're teleworking, or maybe you don't work at all, everyone can still participate and do their part in reducing their carbon footprint. As not all employees have returned to the office, employers who are unable to participate in the rideshare week can still earn the iCommute Diamond Awards points for pledging your organization to participate in the Clean Air Day. So there's many ways for employees and organizations alike to do their part to help clean the air and make San Diego a healthier place to live in. So we're excited to see how many people will be participating in joining us this year with Clean Air Day. Okay, so iCommute has put together some resources to help you participate in Clean Air Day. And the toolkit consists of a Facebook cover photo, digital graphics and sample captions to share on social media. There's flyers in both English and Spanish. So lots of great resources that are available for you to help engage other employees. So now I'd like to introduce Brian Sheridan, who will be joining us from the Coalition for Clean Air, and he's going to tell us about this year's Clean Air Day campaign. So thank you for joining us, Brian.
Thank you so much, Khalisa. You know, I am thrilled to be here with you all. You know, this has been a great partnership with the iCommute team over the past couple of years. We're now going into our 4th annual California Clean Air Day, and it's been a really great run. Next slide, please. You know, the first thing I have to acknowledge about California Clean Air Day is that we are living in a very different environment. You know, this was taken in 2019 when we did an absolute ton of in-person events around California Clean Air Day, lots of tree plantings, lots of, you know, lunch and learns, all kinds of things. And of course, last year, the world changed, but we learned that when it comes to clean air, there are things that we can all do and form a community around it, wherever we may be. And so, you know, I think that as we go into the 4th annual California Clean Air Day in a couple of weeks on October 6th, you know, you're going to see both a lot of things happening online as well as in person. We're sort of in a hybrid environment. But, you know, it's a great program, and I hope everybody does their part and takes the pledge. Next slide, please. You know, there's a really good reason why we do California Clean Air Day. You know, here in the state, unfortunately, we have 7 of the 10 worst cities for ozone. And we're also, you know, tops in terms of diesel particulate matter. So those two constituents of concern really are the kinds of things that, you know, help to contribute to asthma, you know, lower our lifespans. It's just the kind of stuff that we want to make sure that we're protecting our health from. this has some real consequences. 1 million school-based absences, and as I mentioned, some real health outputs. Next slide, please. And because of that, and perhaps because of our increasing wildfire season, Californians really do care about air quality. Nearly 3/4 of you all said that air pollution is an issue and that we need to do something about it. And that combined with what we're increasingly learning about climate change, means that the people care and they want to do something, and that's where California Clean Air Day comes in. Even in a place as beautiful as San Diego, and I love San Diego, I graduated from UC San Diego, the city ranks for the 7th worst in terms of ozone in the country. So we've got a lot of work to do. Next slide, please. Again, California Clean Air Day is October 6th. That's when things culminate. And where people of all types come together to do their part for clean air. And we're going to go over a couple of different things, but if you're following along, check out cleanairday.org, where you can take the pledge and get resources and lots of information. Next slide, please. California Clean Air Day really revolves around a pledge, because we know that when people go to our website, when you all go to our website and you fill out the form that says, hey, what can you do for clean air? 97% of you will actually fulfill the things that you set out to do, at least one of the things, and 1/4 of you will do all of them. And we're going to go over some of those things. But broadly, we have 3 categories of things that we think you can all do. Namely protect public health, improve air quality, and prevent climate change are on that list. And if we're really doing our job right and you're really paying attention, you'll encourage the youth in your life to take the Kids Pledge, which are K-8 friendly activities that most young people can do. And so if you're doing things and they're doing things, it creates a concept of milling, where everybody's coming home, they're around the dinner or lunch, and they're all talking about, hey, what can you do for clean air? Why are this list different for me versus the adults in my life? Where do those things intersect? And I certainly hope that happens. If you own a small business, or if you're an employer, or if you have a club or a school, I encourage you to take the organizational pledge, which we have some really amazing tools. SANDAG's part of that. We have over 500 organizations signed up. And there's a really cool way that all of these things intersect. Next slide, please. But it has been through this interplay between our organizational pledge and our individual pledge that we've really been able to grow California Clean Air Day and really get lots of people to take action. Last year we had an estimated 1.6 million people participate. And of course, everything today is driven by social media. And last year that included 6 million social media impressions, which has some real results. 3.1 million actions taken. But we're not resting on our laurels. We need to beat those numbers every year. And as we go into 2021, we're going to really lean on all of you to help us get there. Next slide. So what is on the individual pledge? We have 3 broad categories: plant something, reduce your vehicle emissions, and switch it out. So we're going to go over those in 1 second. On our organizational pledge, when people sign up, we ask a couple of different things. Can you reduce the number of employees driving to work solo? Because single passenger vehicle use is such a tricky part of the equation. Can you change your business practices? Can you promote Clean Air Day? And these are all things that we ask our business partners to participate in and to do the thing that makes the most sense to them. Next slide. Here in San Diego, we've always had a really great turnout, and I hope that's going to be the case this year. You know, here was a press conference last year, 2 years ago, I'm sorry, where, you know, we were highlighting some of behind me on the left, behind Supervisor Fletcher. You've got some bicycle and electric vehicles representing just two of the different ways that people can contribute. But there are lots of different things. And of course, we always welcome resolutions from cities and counties and other types of jurisdictions. Next slide, please. And that was matched by really interesting things happening all throughout the state. For those of you looking for something to do or to host, there's still plenty of time. Go to cleanairday.org/events, and then you'll see what's going on in your community. But, you know, everything from technology unveilings to, you know, bike rides to showcase new bike lanes to tree plantings, you know, there are lots of ways that people get involved. Next slide. So, you know, our switch it out category is probably our most broad one, but these are things that, you know, I think many of you might not be aware of, but that actually really make a big difference. And I start with, you know, your air filters. So a properly working air filter, it makes a tremendous difference in terms of particulate matter. So particulate matter is the nasty, tiny, there's PM 2.5, PM 1, and smaller. These are the little things that come off of, you know, your cars, you know, industrial sources, and they kind of lodge in your lungs. So when you have a properly working air filter, and I think many of us, in fact, including myself, kind of confused our cabin air filter in our car with our engine air filter, but I was surprised the first time I did it how easy it is. So I want to encourage all of you to do that. You know, for those of you that have lawns, you know, give hand-powered tools a try. Or electric. They've come a long way from what you might remember. I definitely encourage you to check them out. And there are often incentives involved for you to get them. Again, you know, other things like, you know, using more natural cleaning product. A lot of our cleaning product that we use in our homes have really nasty chemicals in them. So I want to encourage you all to think about that relationship. And then we have a couple of things on here that we wanted you to think about the full supply chain. So here in California, it is our trucks and our planes and our ships that largely contribute to some of the worst emissions, in particular, for communities that are near ports. And so, you know, what can we do about that? Well, we can buy our produce locally instead of from thousands of miles away. We can combine our purchases into one order. You know, I know myself, I'm personally addicted to Amazon, but I'm trying to do better. So, you know, all of us, we can commit to doing that. You know, we try to address some upstream emissions. So eat no meat for at least one day. For those of you who don't know, you know, methane is considered a super pollutant, and it comes largely from our factory farms. And so, you know, we want to challenge all of you to try that. Now, the last thing that's kind of interesting, and if you want to check it out, just Google Purple Air or Clarity or any number of different networks, but install an air quality monitor in your home. So do you want to be a part of a larger community? Our air quality monitors have been revolutionary in connecting us and being able to showcase what's happening in real time. So that requires a little bit of an investment from folks, but is incredibly valuable to being a part of the air quality solution. Next, please. And here's one of our social media graphics. Switch it out. You know, replace that cabin air filter. If you're driving, you know, consider it, especially if you're carpooling, you have young kids. You know, we're sitting on the freeway, we're stuck in traffic. That's just not really great for our health. So think about, you know, challenge yourself. And even if you're not that mechanical, I promise you, you can do it. Next, please. So many of us, and this is a really popular activity in San Diego, like to plant trees. And indeed, you know, we have here in California some really poor urban tree canopies. So when you plant a tree, not only are you helping to sequester carbon, but you're also helping to solve our serious tree canopy issue in the state. But think about also your community garden and how that relationship relates to air quality, as well as bringing in indoor plants. Next, please. Indeed, here it kind of confirms what I just said. California, even after these devastating wildfires, we can do something about it. So I definitely encourage all of you to do that. There are some really great organizations in San Diego on our event tab that always do some amazing events. I encourage you guys to check them out. Next, please. But when it comes to emissions, and particularly carbon emissions, it is our single passenger vehicle use that has been a huge issue for the state. And that is why so much of our emphasis is in getting you guys to try to think about getting out of your cars. And I know many of you are working at home, but the reality is that despite the fact that we had our stay-at-home orders, while it did reduce emissions shortly, it did gradually sneak back to where emissions from our single passenger vehicles are almost the same today. Our vehicle miles traveled have caught up. And so we want to challenge all of you, not just how you're thinking about getting from work and back, but wherever you're going. So can you, instead of driving to the grocery store, can you bike to the grocery store? Can you try taking public transit with your family to the soccer game? Can you try vanpooling or carpooling again if you've gone away from it? And we want to get to folks that even if like all of these options you think are really tough for your situation, have you made it a habit of driving to lunch every day? Can you take lunch on that day? We want to make it easy for you to participate. One of these I do want to point out to all the parents out there, because I think we do a lot of things unknowingly, and that is don't idle your engine. So many of us, and particularly in our elementary schools, want to get there a half hour early because we want to be first in line to pick up the kids, and we sit there and we idle our car. And that has some real consequences for the students because our cars, emit ozone. And so imagine what you all collectively are doing. So can you commit to not idling your engine? And for those of you that are already doing a ton, well, we want to challenge you to take that big leap and go electric. Next, please. Indeed, 10 minutes of idling outside of school, 1 pound of carbon dioxide. So, let's try to, I always like to say, idling gets you nowhere. And that's a true statement, no matter how you look at it. Next, please. But again, I mentioned, we don't want this to be just about the adults. We want to also bring in the youth in our lives. And at the advice of teachers, we added the Kids Pledge. And so these are some things that we really think that kids can play a role in. Next, please. And so we came up with, these are everything. And this is what the certificate looks like when a child decides that they would like to print out a certificate. But it's Bike to School Day on Clean Air Day, so you can double up and really drive home that habit. But a great activity to do with your kids is plant a garden. We have a social media graphic that says tell the grown-ups in your life not to idle their cars, which I like to see that implemented. I'm sure maybe some folks appreciate it and some folks don't, but it is really important. And of course, do an air quality experiment. This is a great program for teachers. So for teachers that really want to, they can actually create links so that they can have a competition between classrooms or between schools, encouraging kids to take the pledge and to take these actions. And of course, doing an air quality experiment, just Google it. There are some amazing things that kids can do. Again, give a report on the environment and do an art project. We've seen some amazing art projects happening. And in fact, there's a mural down at the Port of San Isidro that will be unveiled for this Clean Air Day. So, consider how you get the entire, from young to old, how people can get involved in Clean Air Day. Next, please. Again, Clean Air Day is made possible thanks to a big group of, participating organizations. Here's just a few. I'm not even sure if this has been updated, but, you've got a lot of folks, from Scripps Health to the Port of San Diego to SDG&E to, you name it, from small, folks like small nonprofits like Casa Familiar. It's for everyone. And again, encourage your employer, your club, your school to get involved, sign up, take the pledge, and let's create clean air together. Next, please. I would be remiss if I did not thank our sponsors for making this happen. You can see, again, it really shows the diversity of who's being a part of Clean Air Day, but it's really for everybody. Next slide, please. And it all starts here at the Clean Air Pledge. Sign up either as an individual, get the youth in your life involved, or as an organization. And together we can create clean air. And let's keep those habits going. Clean Air Day doesn't have to stop on October 6th. Give something that you're not super comfortable with, or that you haven't done in a while, like take public transit a try. And if you like it, make it a regular part of your routine. I look forward to seeing how many people in San Diego take the pledge. Follow the conversation. The hashtag is Clean Air Day CA, and the handle is Clean Air Day. And we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Snapchat, which we have some great lenses, Facebook and Instagram. So check it out, and thanks for listening.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. You gave us so many great ideas on how we can get involved on Clean Air Day and throughout the year. And it was especially fun to hear about ways kids can get involved as well. So before we move on, let's take one last poll. And I think this poll, if we could bring that up, is going to be Clean Air Day is Wednesday, October 6th. What will you pledge to do after hearing all those great ideas? So we'll give you a minute to answer that. Okay, hopefully everyone had a chance to answer at this point. Let's see if we can bring up the results. Okay, so it looks like our largest was a combination of the above, which is great. So maybe people are going to choose a number of different items. We also had telework or attend meetings remotely. I know a lot of us are doing that right now, so that's great to continue. One less car on the road is important. Great. So moving on now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Rideshare Week. So Rideshare Week is coming up on October 4th to the 8th. I know it's hard to believe October's just around the corner here, but it is coming up. And iCommute has put together some resources. If we could get the next slide, I'll show you some resources. So we put together some resources that organizations can share with employees that have returned to the office to encourage them to participate in the Rideshare Week. So this toolkit consists of a poster, a half-page flyer in both English and Spanish. There's a tips and ideas flyer, sample email blasts, and social posts. And there's even a carpool sign that you can use to save a spot at your place of employment for those that are choosing to carpool. So lots of great resources in this toolkit for you to use and engage people with. And next slide, please. Okay, so let's summarize how individuals and organizations can participate. So employers can choose to register for Rideshare Week and or take part in the Clean Air Day pledge. And by doing so, for those that are participating with us with iCommute, you can earn the Diamond Awards point. You can try transit with the new Pronto system. I'm not sure how many people have tried that out yet, but it's a great new system that's being used where you can pay as you go. So you can try transit. You can carpool with Waze. It's an app that you can download, and your first ride is free. And for each referral, you can receive $10 in carpool rewards after your second carpool ride. You can vanpool in style, so either commuting with Enterprise, who has recent model SUVs and vans. And if you choose to take this option, SANDAG does provide a $400 a month subsidy. Or if you want to try an all-electric van pool, Green Commuter has Teslas. I mean, who hasn't wanted to drive a Tesla before? So Green Commuter does have Teslas, and you'll receive a $500 a monthly subsidy from SANDAG if you choose that route. We also encourage you to share your rideshare story. So if you comment on the designated @SANDAG Facebook posts, you can have a chance to win a grand prize. And if you aren't trying a rideshare option, maybe you're working from home, you can still pledge to telework on Clean Air Day. And as I said, one less car makes a big difference. Next slide, please. So again, we encourage you to share your photo or story of how you're doing your part to clean the air by commenting on the designated @SANDAG Facebook post for a chance to win a green weekend getaway. So this does include one night eco hotel stay at the Hotel Indigo and a weekend rental of a Tesla Model X along with dinner at Lotus Thai. So we hope this is an enticing package and get some of you guys motivated to share your stories with us. Next slide. So here are more actions you can take for Clean Air Day and every day. Lots of great transportation options. You can telework, bike, walk, carpool, vanpool, or take transit. So hopefully you leave this webinar feeling motivated to at least try one of these options. Next slide. Okay, so it looks like we do have a few minutes left to take some questions. So if you haven't entered your questions yet, you didn't get to enter it during the presentation, then we'll take a pause here so you can start entering those. And then I believe Deborah will lead us with trying to answer these questions for you.
Terrific. Thanks, Khalisa. Thanks, Brian. That was absolutely informative, enlightening, inspiring, and I have made lots of mental notes about what I'm going to do on October 6th and beyond. So here's some questions that have been streaming in. This one's for Brian, actually. One of our listeners, participants, has asked a question about school-based absences and how it's related to air quality. So how is that determined, Brian?
Yeah, so when it comes to poor air quality, unfortunately, and there's a really good study by the USC Children, the USC study of children's health, and you can just kind of Google that. Ed Abel is the lead author. But because lungs are still developing, they are more susceptible to air pollution, unfortunately. So, and then the other sort of subgroup is, of course, the elderly, whose lungs are in a kind of a weakened state. So this is why we sort of why it's so important to sort of recognize the role of youth, I think, in creating better air quality in our communities.
Okay, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that citation as well. So here is a question that we have from one of our tuned in listeners, and that is how to enter the sweepstakes for the Green Weekend. So Khalisa was mentioning what that is. That is a weekend rental of a Tesla, a night stay at a Hotel Indigo, which is a green hotel here downtown at the Gas Lamp, and a gift voucher for Lotus Thai, which has vegan entries. So it's a really nice package we have there. All you have to do is look for our designated Facebook post, and it will state that this is the contest eligible one, and write a comment, submit a picture. So any way that you can comment to that post, you'll be entered into the drawing automatically. So there's no forms to fill out or anything. If your name does get selected, you win the weekend, and we just have you sign a release that we can take your picture. And so you can go, yeah, I'm so green. So that's that one. I have another question here that's come in. And this is more for our employer clients that are enrolled in the iCommute employer program, because there's a Diamond Award point for participating. How do you know if your company is signed up? So maybe you work for a company and you're like, I totally want my company to sign up for this and get that e-toolkit. Well, so write to us at iCommute support at icommute.com, and we will look through our registration list to see if your company is there or not. And if it's not, then we'll send you the registration link and tell them to sign up, and they can sign up through Rideshare Week itself, but hopefully before, so you can take advantage of that e-toolkit. Great question. So I have a question also kind of related to employers. So one of our employer clients, a Platinum Diamond Award winner, Watkins Wellness, wanted to know how to get the list of attendees, because they're giving a special recognition points for their employee program. So Nadia, we have already reached out to you. Let's see, here's another one. And this one, most likely for Brian. So is it too late to pledge for Clean Air Day?
No, actually, we take pledges right, and that goes for organizations and individuals right up until and even on the day of. But you know, make your plan to fulfill those. If anybody out there somehow can do everything on that list, you are Superman or woman or person, because there's a lot, but that'll be the big challenge for the person that does everything. But no, it's absolutely not too late. Please go to the website at cleanairday.org and sign up.
Okay, right on. And Brian, kind of in the same vein, because Clean Air Day is so cool, have you ever thought about making it a full month effort? So Clean Air Month?
Not for my sanity, but it is, no, there is a power in the culmination. And although it is called California Clean Air Day, what you'll see if you go to the event section is that notion is somewhat interpreted broadly. So in some sense, it really is Clean Air Week, but there's a really kind of a power and a culmination on a day. And so when everybody kind of comes together on a day, it really spurs people to action. And in particular, I think, I don't know about you guys, I have some folks in my life that, I've always done things one way, I can't do anything, I can't. But I tell them, one day, I'm asking you for one day, can you do one of these things for one day? And that's a great way to get them to change. So that's why it's Clean Air Day and not Clean Air Month. But I'll think about it for next year.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And that's a perfect segue into the last question I see that's come in here. And that is, if there are social media posts that can be shared with friends to participate. And so from the iCommute side of the house, we do have social media posts that are going to go out on our SANDAG and our iCommute channel. So feel free to share those widely. And then Brian, you also have them, right? What are your handles again?
So the handle is at Clean Air Day, and the official hashtag is Clean Air Day CA, and that CA is important because there actually is a Clean Air Day UK, happens in June, and so if anyone happens to be visiting England at that time, I hope you celebrate there too. Yeah, and all of the social media resources that are on the site under the resources tab. So if you don't, if you don't want to think too hard about how you're going to share, you can just grab it right from that site.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, well, not seeing any other questions, I'm going to hand it back over to Khalisa to close us out. And here you go, Khalisa.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Deborah, and thank you, Brian, and thanks all of you who logged in and spent the morning with us. If you didn't get to ask your question or you think of a question later, you do have our contact information here on this slide. And a reminder that we will be sending you a recording that we hope you'll share with others that couldn't be here. But be sure to check out the iCommuteSD.com for more resources regarding everything we talked about today. And again, thank you so much for being with us and for taking the time for considering making a pledge on Clean Air Day. So thank you, and stay safe and take care.